All right, go ahead and get started. I just have to play that real quick because, fortunately and unfortunately, I love Prince very much, and that ended up being a song that reminds me of my father. It's been a little over 5 months since he's been gone. Today is October 7th, 2021, and I am back after so many things, and I wanted to just have some closure these next few weeks before I begin my journey of rebirthing myself, separating my identity from my business, Rose Gold Birth, which is kind of redundant because my business is me, but I'll dive deeper into that in just a moment. July of 2020, I made the decision to step out on faith and become a birth worker. At first, I was calling it a doula, and now I address myself as a birth worker. And today is just really, or this evening is really just about honoring everything that I've done. Now, of course, I'm not going to be able to give y'all the full, like we will be talking all night until the morning to basically run down every single thing that has gone on between then and now. So I'll just kind of touch on the highlights of each month, which got me to this particular point. So there are some honorable mentions of folks that I want to include in this. That doesn't mean that there weren't some beautiful experiences that pushed me towards where I am now. So yeah, I'm celebrating 1 year of choosing a liberated life, starting my business, Rose Gold Birth Services. And this is a celebration of my Instagram live series called the Rose Golden Hour, where I tuned in with everyone every Wednesday from October to December. It was ridiculous how consistent I was. I had 2 kids at the time, and how I was able to make it work. It was a beautiful experience. Every person that was able to be featured on that live series was either a birth worker or a parent of some sort, and they had their own individual story or medicine to offer, and I'm forever grateful for the experience. I would love to see what happens in the next few years if I do another live series. And so before I decided I was going to be a birth worker, right before that, I was a cashier. I was working at George Bush Intercontinental Airport. And I had been working there like 2 years, almost 3 years. And I was actually more than a cashier. That was the most I had ever made at the time. I think I started out making $10 an hour, jumped to $12 an hour to train other people to be cashiers in this airport. And not only that, I ended up becoming, one of our classmates asked about a doula / birth worker. I sent her your profile. I hope she was there. Thank you. I hope she does too. Peace and love. Thank y'all for coming in. We are celebrating my Instagram live series called the Rose Golden Hour. Now back to what I was saying before I forget. Basically, I also became a union rep. So I was representing the workers. I learned about the labor unions. And most importantly, I learned that pretty much everything that's an institution or everything that's profiting off of something has some type of connection to fucking slavery. So in the midst of that, I really got into my own and was all about the revolution, all about liberating folks, even when they wasn't ready to liberate them damn selves. I loved that experience. It was so much that I'm grateful for. But tonight will not be that night where I dive into that shit. And so out of being a union rep, Okay, I was pregnant with my second child when I stopped working, and I ended up riding unemployment. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I'm going to go on maternity leave. I'm going to create a maternity leave for myself. And between now and this time, I'm going to find something else that is not a 9 to 5. That's not a hourly clock in job, because I do not want to work in something that is rooted or in connection to slavery, like period. And so in the midst of that, I started looking up jobs. I can't tell you at what point I did, but I just kept researching. I thought I was going to work from home and be stressing working a call center job. I thought I was going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff. And by the time the pandemic hit and some months went by, Gianna was about 7 or 8 months old. I had already signed up and just jumped into becoming a doula. I ended up finding Nikia Lawson of Donor International. She represents the Black donor doulas. I trained with the July 2020 cohort, and I learned so much in that experience. Like, you know, and one of the things that I learned from that was you have to really do research. You have to really find out what your particular passion is when it comes to being a doula, because there is a plethora of ways that you can support your community by being a birth worker. And some aspects of that can be, if you want to really make money, if you really want to make profit off of it and it's not just a passion for you, you can do some amazing things in that arena as well. But what I was in alignment with was not Donor International at all. But I thank Nikia Lawson for teaching me some things and pushing me forward towards self-educating myself as a doula. I do not consider myself certified in the aspect of an organization certifying me. I am self-certified, and not only am I self-certified, I am community certified, meaning that the people speak for my work. Much like the traditional midwives, the real midwives, the granny midwives, we took care of the community. We really were out here doing what needed to be done to care for our people. And so they didn't have certificates and shit like that. Now, of course, we had like J. Marion Sims, who was cutting us open and, you know, making profit off of us. And he built the first nurse hospital and whatnot. So then we had to certify, and we had to stop being dirty whores, caring for our people, when we really were doing things that are necessary, so necessary now in the climate that we're in, dealing with Operation Stop CPS, dealing with people that are choosing holistic lifestyles being put at risk. We need to go back to the shit that we knew originally. And so went on a tangent because I was feeling that passion, you know what I'm saying? But I started self-teaching myself. I started doing a lot of research on what this really was just about. Every time I saw a webinar or a teaching, virtual, in-person, whatever, I had to be there. I had to learn. And I just kind of opened myself up. Right, the ancestors speak for you, period. They speak for me. And not only that, they speak for me. Everything has been ordained for it to be this way. So they have created me. They have created me to be a birth worker. So they literally are speaking through me. I am doing what they are intending for our people to have right now in this present moment. So one thing that I do want to mention before I dive too deep into all the things I have done so far as a birth worker, I want to thank Kashe Powell. She goes by Cash the Yogi. on Instagram. I do not remember how I found Kashe, but I'm thankful to her because one of the things that I decided I wanted to do after having my second child was dive into self-care. And I found her, and she was doing something called Jazz and Flow, which was jazz music infused yoga. And it was donation based, and it was in the evenings, which I thought was perfect for my, my lifestyle at the time, dealing with, an infant and a preschooler. And I used to do evening yoga sessions. And she also did like where we would journal, we would talk about my goals, the things that I was needing healing on. And in the process of me doing all those sessions with her, I let her know that I wanted to be a doula. And she ended up connecting me with a doula named Briana Bundage. And Briana Bundage, we'll get to that in a second. So Kashe, not only did Kashe do that for me, we had a lot of beautiful experiences together. And not only that, she did my very first photo shoot that I've ever done just for myself, just in general. It was for my business. And she captured my essence, and I'm forever grateful for her for that. And so, after that, she connected me to Briana. And Briana, who goes by Bringing the Peace on Instagram, she was offering like free yoni steams and facial steams because someone loved her service so much that they had donated like for 20 like a whole bunch of women to get her experience at no cost. Of course, women of color. So she ended up reaching out to me, and I was able to get a yoni steam and a facial steam, right? And that was such a lovely experience because I had been doing yoni steams on my own, and I'm the type of person where if I know how to do something, I'm not going to pay somebody to do some shit I already know how to do. But there's a complete difference between doing something yourself versus someone catering to you, someone showing you love and honoring you. And it's a completely different experience. So for her to set intention to create a beautiful space for me, to not only stretch, to steam my face, to let the toxins and bring the good things in, as well as do some emotional release and literal release of anything from my womb space as well. I love that experience. We ended up connecting even deeper because we both went to high school together, but we never ended up making a connection in high school. So we were able to have this beautiful, fruitful relationship outside of that. And I got to see her experience as being a birth worker as well. Now, Briana ended up connecting me to the Bringing the Peace community garden. And this garden is a part of the National Black United Front. We have an elder in our community that goes by Brother Danny, and he has multiple gardens throughout the city of Houston, and one of these being at that location off of Southmore. In their backyard, we have a free, open to the public space to learn how to cultivate the land, how to really tune into your ancestral knowledge that has been ingrained in you that you don't even know. You're not late, you're just on time. That you don't even know you have. So that community was a mixture of her clients, friends, so many people that wanted to come together, learn how to grow things, learn how to eat from the things that they grow, to become self-sufficient, to not depend on this fucked up system. So I knew that it was something that I wanted to always be a part of because no matter what, I felt love, I felt in connection. Literally, we're at the first few note points. I have so much shit to say, so you are not late. Okay, so it felt so good to be in community. It felt so good to see the reaction to my children, just being outside and being in safe space, and to play with other children, to connect with people of like-mindedness. And I'm I'm forever grateful for her for this, because I know what type of love I desire. I know what type of community I want to have for myself and what I want to leave my descendants and for our people just as a whole. Moving on. So July, at that time I had a 4-year-old and an 8-month-old, as I said. And I started doing, like, because of Dona, I got influenced to, like, really try to advertise myself and try to make some money. So I was trying to do $50 birth and postpartum plans. Get at me. I'm going to help you do your birth plan and your postpartum plan. And apparently it was supposed to just be short, like a little consultation. But what I would do is I'm going to, put you on, educate you on every fucking thing. We're going to be talking for hours. I was doing all the things that you're not supposed to do, which is sit on the, the call, answer their questions, and, let them pick your brain, all that shit. So I would have 2-hour birth and postpartum planning sessions, hoping that they would want to be my client. And a few of them were my clients, because for Dona, I needed to certify with 3 births. And unfortunately, the other reason I didn't even go with them is because the certifying process for me was difficult. So I'm just like, fuck it. If it ain't in alignment, I'm just going to toss that to the side. And during this time of the birth and postpartum planning and stuff like that, I realized I'm tired of doing this shit. I'm just, I'm over it. I was losing my confidence, but I'm going to keep educating myself. So one of the things that I did was, one of the first webinars I attended was from Khye of Kaluntu Reproductive Justice Coalition. I hope I said that correctly. And that was about it was called Minding My Birthing Business, Supporting Plus Size Families. And that was the first time I realized that I wanted to be a full spectrum birth worker, meaning I want to support all types of people. I don't want to just keep it limited to, one type of person, because there are so many discrepancies in care, so many gaps as far as the care that these healthcare professionals offer. I am trying to teach myself to stop saying provider, because these motherfuckers don't provide nothing but stress and terror on our community. So they are healthcare professionals. So I'm getting better at it. I do be slipping up and be like, your provider. No, not your provider. But yeah, that was one of the first times I realized, damn, plus size people go through a lot of shit. Having plus size people in my life, considering myself plus size, when it's so difficult on so many different levels. Like, it's so many different aspects. Hi. Let me stop. Y'all just keep on commenting and talking amongst yourselves. But yeah, it's a lot of hardship that every type of person goes through, because everyone is still under this impression that you are going to get different than basic level ass care in any type of facility you go to. Because at the end of the day, no matter what provider you chose, healthcare professional you chose, you still going to this hospital or whatever that's connected to it, and they're still approaching it the same fucking way. Now, of course, if there's some inclusive language locations that are going to be not only inclusive in language, but inclusive in action. Now, of course, we love those places, but more times than not, especially here in Texas, shit sucks. The other thing that I did that was super exciting in July was I signed up for a consultation with Jeulani Gahiji of Loving the Journey. Okay, I ended up meeting her. It was divine, y'all, because there is someone that I love. She goes by Veladya Chapman, Earth Mama Medicine. Okay, I talk about her all the time. Now, one of the things she did was not the little dance yet. So, Veladya did this where she was speaking for this particular conference app situation called the Matriarch Collective. and I feel bad for not even knowing what it was called, but Nurturing Novas is the person that created it. And she created the Matriarch Collective. Earth Mama Medicine was speaking at it. She was advertising it, talking to us about it, talking to us like through YouTube. And I'm like, okay, shit, I'm gonna join it. I want to experience something different. I want to like honor my divine feminine. I want to connect and like, you know, do something new. And I joined that space. And one of the things that they did in this virtual space was they allowed people to basically practice like talking or advertising their businesses, or like talking about the things like the offerings that they want to give the world. And one of the people that hopped on there was like, I'm finna go ahead and like share my, you know, my offerings, my gifts, was Jeulani. And she was talking about organize your life. I help people organize their shit, organize their life. And I cared very much about what she was saying, but her vibe, it just made me light up. Like I would just laugh every time she said something. Like I'd just be like, damn, I feel good hearing her, just like listening to her. This is cool. So I ended up following her on Instagram, and then I started to see her a lot more on my timeline, on my feed. And I ended up signing up for a free consultation, knowing good and fucking well what I said I was on, unemployment. And I signed up, and I ended up choosing to join her 6-week program. Dropped 600. Was it 600? I think it was. Like, it was a huge investment in myself. I had to really think, do I want to do it? Do I really want to invest in myself? Like, yeah, like I'm gonna do it. I'm really gonna do it this time. It's not like everything else. So I ended up investing in that, and because of that particular experience that I had with her, her business started to shift. So she went from organize your life to spiritual coaching to spiritual business coaching, and she's like the amazing being that we know today. And one of the gifts that came from even working with Lonnie was the Rose Golden Hour Live Series. So if I had never sat down, worked through my emotional, physical, financial, everything, aspects of my life for healing and growth, the Rose Golden Hour would never have come to fruition. Sometimes investing in yourself is so difficult. It is so difficult. And the whole time, I'm like, okay, you know, my partner at the time, I was telling him, hey, you know, I just dropped this for this particular, it's going to get me to where the fuck I need to go. And he's just like, okay, you know, if you feel like you're going to do it, whatever, you know, because at first, if you're making a big purchase, it's got to be for something that's supposed to feel more legit than that. And so, yeah. My good sis Lonnie is multifaceted. She is so multifaceted. It's ridiculous. It's the impact for me. Yeah, so I did Organize Your Life with Lonnie up until September of 2020. Okay, so we still talking about July. So now we're hopping over to August. So some of the big things that popped up in August for me was I won, like, I never win things. I think I won a bike one time when I was in elementary school, and I think I remember taking that bike home, but I don't win things. And I won Latching in Love's Black Breastfeeding Week giveaway. Honestly, I felt that I was not deserving of this gift because they had us do an exercise. I feel bad saying it right now, but they had us do an exercise, okay, where we were supposed to take a picture of what we did and send it to her. I hope she corrects me. And I don't remember sending no damn picture, and I know I didn't send no picture. And my name popped up. Like, she put my name in the raffle, and Of the Tribe popped up, and I won all this stuff. I didn't know that I was going to win this much stuff. And when I say this much shit, it was a big-ass backpack filled with, because my phone is being held up by the nursing pads that was in that bag. Because all the shit that she gave me, I needed it for this pregnancy. So it was fucking nursing pads, the little cold, hot therapy shit from Lancino, because is the brand looking at me right now. It was My Breast Friend pillow. It was a manual pump, an actual pump, all the things, right? I was in disbelief. Like, I have never received something like that before. And I had breastfed my second child up until she was about 8 months. So that was a huge thing for me. And so when I wanted, I was like, I'm gonna hold this because I don't need it right now, but I'm gonna let my clients use it. I'm gonna let them rent it or whatever. But it ended up being for me, for the most part. Everything else is still waiting for some pregnant people to have babies these next few months, and I'll give some of those things away. But I'm forever grateful for her for that, because right now I'm using these damn nursing pads. And let's move right on to September 2020, my first birth client. So that is going to be Janelle and Chris. Okay, Janelle, I met her working as a union rep. I was one of her union reps at the airport, and we developed a beautiful relationship just from there, because I used to always talk to her. You know, we would have some deep connections and all the things. So she ended up reaching out to me. I think it was kind of like some hesitation about like paying me, that type of shit, you know. When you really want to help everybody, you don't give a fuck about the money, but you need money, that type of shit. But she ended up reaching out to me, or I'm gonna take that back. I be reaching out to folks. Anybody I see pregnant, I was hitting them up. I don't do that no more. But so I think it was like she ended up reaching back out to me, because at that point I was like, look, you need support. I want to support you. I'm trying to certify. Let's get going, you know. And she had experienced, I think she had COVID while she was pregnant. And there was a lot of fear that she had, a lot of just stress, because she was like quarantining herself from her family. And I was supporting her during that time. And we just got even closer. Like, I would just uplift her. We would talk from time to time. And the more pregnant she got, we ended up finally doing the, you started from the gutter. Look at you now. Yes. So she ended up doing my $50 birth and postpartum plan, though. She invested in that plan. She knew she was going to get some, you know, get something worthy and of some substance. And lo and behold, I ended up supporting her as her birth worker. That was the first time I had ever supported a birth. Like, I was just jumping into that shit. Like, oh, you know, I'm nervous, excited, didn't sleep. And this particular client was the most prepared I had ever been, because I went to the store. I was buying all the things. I had bought a big ass jug pitcher thing that you could lift up, and it was full of liberated. I had made out of coconut water, whole bunch of shit to keep her hydrated. And I had just a whole bunch of like little just extra. So she ended up giving birth at, where the fuck she give birth at? Because it pissed me the fuck off. I already know. Fuck. Because I want to call the ass out because they ain't worth a damn. But I can't even think about it. So the hospital that she gave birth at, I wish I knew the name. But this was the first time, like, in that experience, though, all games aside, that was the first time I had to affirm someone and assure someone when they weren't sure of anything. And I wasn't sure of anything. I'm just like, shit, you know, inside. But I was like, we're going to get through this. You got it, you know. And I think one of the hardest things that I have seen in the births I've supported so far is when they go from, I want to have a natural birth, I don't want no medications, and they give in and they want the medication. So I have to explain to them that, you know, you make the best decision that you made for yourself in that moment. Do not feel hard on yourself for that decision that you made, because you're gonna have to heal through that. You know, there are traumas and difficulties that come up in life, and birth is no exception. So it can be such a devastating thing. And the one thing specifically with Janelle was like, I think when she was choosing to get it, I was explaining to her, because I knew from my experience of having children, like, it's a possibility that this epidural is not going to numb you like you thinking it's going to. And her birth ended up being one of those situations. So more times than not, it ends up tiring you out. And she, but I was proud as fuck, man. Walking in, she on that bird ball, bouncing like a motherfucker on that ball. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. She really is. She was so in tune with herself. And she was, doing the thing. So I'm like, don't let one little negative aspect bring down the beauty that was going on in your birth experience. Her husband, Chris, was doing his thing, supporting her, comforting her as much as he could. She'd be like, do, you need to do it like this. This is what I want. And he was right there with it. You know what I'm saying? And hell yeah, when I came in there, I was like, oh shit, okay, it's really birth happening up in here. I can't believe, I'm an amateur. I am just a regular human being walking up on the scene about to walk in somebody's birth. What the fuck did I do? Damn. That's real. It's real as fuck. Like, first time doers, look. I'm trying to get certified, but I didn't know it was going to be like this. This is exactly what it was in my mind. But I had it together, and she felt affirmed, and she felt good with me there. So, baby Chris, I call him baby Anthony. My first doula baby, okay? He was adorable, is adorable, still a beautiful child. And I would say what I take from that experience is that I have an innate ability to adapt to whatever the fuck's going on. So I love that experience. I wish that family well. I be talking to them all. I be talking to Janelle I haven't. I don't know why I addressed her just now as if I don't talk to her. So yeah. But after the birth, I felt like you feel a rush, like you feel, because you're kind of on the same energy level as the birthing person, because you so kind of wired a little bit, because you be like, oh shit, got to make sure I'm comforting her, making sure that she has all the things. And then once it's done and she didn't relax, and she got this baby on her and things are good, and I walk out the door like a G, I'm tired. I'm happy getting home, like, oh shit, I just experienced the birth, all the things. But that shit was crazy, you know what I'm saying? So, that birth high, yes. And, okay. I think that's enough for August. Shouted them out. All right. Did I say September? No, that was September. Yeah, my first birth was in September. I also had my first live that I ever did, which was before Rose Golden Hour, which was my breastfeeding journey, where I shared, myself and talking about things for the first time. I was super nervous. I was sweaty. Breast milk and hormones and just things. And no, I wasn't breastfeeding. Yes, I was. I was still breastfeeding at the time. So yeah, breast milk and sweat and all the things. I was still sitting up there trying to get on this live and get on this platform. October. Good old October. So like I said, with Lonnie, we switched services from like organizing my life, trying to make things organized, but then it shifted to like spirituality and also working on the aspects of my business. And I had my photo shoot. I had some great times at the garden. Grayson turned 5 years old. And I actually had my first live on October 14th, which is next week. We'll be honoring that, that day as well. But what's crazy is that was when I started the live. It was the day before Grace's birthday, and it was the first day of my last menstrual cycle. So I was pregnant as fuck and didn't know. Okay, and then I went out to Lonnie's birthday celebration turned up. You know, it was fun. But the other thing that I did was I ended up meeting DeShaun, and she goes by Harmonious Birthing and Holistic Birth and Health on YouTube. And she has started this group called Student Midwives. And so that was impactful because when we had done our live together, which was, what was the name of our live? Inside Scoop. Going from a black doula to a black midwife. Something like that. And in the middle of that live, or towards the end, she was like, yeah, you a midwife. You're going to be a midwife. And I still believe that. But for me, I'm a different type of midwife that I can't talk about on live. Because I don't give a fuck about the system. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so the student midwives who came together, I was able to meet some beautiful people. And I also talked about some huge topics. So that was childbirth trauma awareness with Maria Acosta. She goes by Ophira Leone here on Instagram as well. That was my first guest, and we talked about intuition. I also discussed systemic racism and finding my heritage, and look at me now. I found my heritage. Then after, spiritual business coaching with Lonnie, I ended up transitioning into a 3-month coaching program as well through the months of January and March. So I had like consistent support, like just backing me, because I had Lonnie as my spiritual coach. I had my therapist. I had my community. So it was the most exciting and uplifting that I had felt in the midst of my hardships and whatever was going on in life. As we move into November, you know what I'm saying? I had my second birth client. This is Kim and Robert. And they were having their first, this was my first VBAC. The first client I had ever supported that had chosen a vaginal birth after a cesarean section. And that experience was the first time I got to see, no, it was the second time, but the most intense time, because that was the first time I had seen a Black family go through systemic oppression in the medical industrial complex on so many levels, because they had they desired a natural birth in a birthing center, or an unmedicated birth, whatever the fuck y'all want to call it. It was a natural birth. And basically her plans changed. So based on how she was feeling, what she desired, she wanted medication. She wanted to go to the medical industrial complex or the hospital. And so I was supporting her through that process. This was the first time I had ever driven out to the country. And by the country, I mean like Trump country, Cleveland, Texas. Don't ever do what I did, which was, client called me like, I'm about to have a baby and I'm ready to just go. I had a quarter tank of gas in the car, and I drove like a good 45 minutes, maybe an hour-ish, something along those lines, in pitch black Trump country. And the reason why I was just so oblivious, like I was just like, I'm going on a passion of my desires to support this client, and it was pitch black, so that I couldn't see all of the Ku Klux Klan symbolisms and all the things. That morning when we were transitioning from the birth center to the hospital, when I went to the gas station to put gas in my car, that's when I saw like memorabilia of this man everywhere. So I was like, okay, I need to get the fuck out of here. And we went back to the same hospital that the first birth was at, which I'm frustrated I don't know what the name is. Yeah, I don't know. And in the hospital experience, it went from them having all the desires they wanted when they thought they were getting a medicated birth, they think that they're going to get this aspect in the hospital. And that hospital was like, you are not going to get none of that. And we are going to do everything in our power to make you feel as though we have the power. And even though they still decided to birth there and to still go, make the most out of their situation, there was time for grief. There was time for emotional release. And that was a time where I really stepped up and was affirming my clients on their decisions, no matter what they decided, that whatever they made, it was worthy. Their birth was, still an amazing experience. That was the first time I had felt like fear for a client, like very concerned about their health, concerned about what was going to happen. And this particular couple was the first time I had been around a couple that was in tune with each other, that were really both on the same page with the desires that they wanted for this experience. It was just as much his experience as it was hers. And we developed a beautiful connection. And the father refers to me as a birth mother, which I love, and have always kind of kept that close to my heart, because I'm more than a birth worker. I'm a birth mother. And baby Calliope, that was such a beautiful experience. I'm thankful for being able to be present for that, and for them to still be friends and in connection with me still. When I get home from this birth, I lay down. After, I release, I emotionally just, vent about this experience, because it was crazy as fuck. Not gonna go into too much detail about it. I lay down, and my womb feels full. I feel some fluttering. I figured out that I was pregnant. I was also working as a birth assistant at this time for the Yellow Rose Midwives. I had attended, I think, 1 or 2 births. And being a birth assistant is completely different than being a doula, so don't get that twisted. A birth assistant is like, you're there to assist the midwives. You got to know certain things to be able to help them out. And of course, I was able to sometimes be there to offer some type of doula support. In the one birth I remember supporting, and I appreciate them for giving me, some inside information to what it is like to work as a midwife. But at the same time, I joined a nonprofit organization known as Maternity Journey, which I'm forever grateful for, because Kelly was one of the first people that I had got in communication with, just to know, where can I start? Where can I, be in connection with other birth workers and, learn. And she was like, do your little donor training. She didn't say little, but do your donor training. When you come back with all the things that you learn, we'll connect. And she talked to me for a while, and I loved how warm she felt, and just that communication. And when I returned back to her, and not that much later, I became one of the doulas, a part of the collective. And it brought so many different insights to what it means to really connect with community, to offer your specific medicine to the people that you interact with. And not only that, but to share your gifts in a new way to impact our people, because not everybody knows how beneficial, how essential it is to have birth workers in your community. So I just love everything about it, Gianna turned 1 year old. Okay. It's crazy. I attempted to start a podcast with 2 of my friends from the airport, and that didn't go anywhere, which is okay. But that was the first time I had ever attempted to do a project just on a whim, super excited. I had, we had a name, we had somebody to do the music, we paid somebody to do a photo shoot, and I was hella pregnant and hella ashamed and didn't tell them about it the whole time. And these 2 people are still very close to me. So it was a lot going on for me emotionally at that time, I remember. And I started another live series known as the Arcana Class. So I want to thank, Lonnie, Briana, Tiana, and my brother Bailey, as well as Mora and Jackie for being a part of that experience, because it was just something I went out on a whim. I had inspiration from Maya Angelou and Dave Chappelle, and I was like, you know what, let me find some people that are just full of beautiful perspective. So then I did the amazing live with DeShaun. Okay, if you have not seen that, check it out. Meeting DeShaun, we were messaging on Facebook, and since then our relationship has been one of the most I'm just grateful for being able to be in connection with her, because it's just another one of the sisters that I have that in my life, and now I know what it is like to really have sisterhood, like just constant, just sisterhood. And yeah, I'm not gonna get too deep on that. So we're about to be crying on here right now. Another live that I was excited to do was with Keisha of Embrace Your Birth Doula. We talked about the misconceptions about doulas being tolerated versus respected. And DeShaun will pop up as soon as I talk about her. And so talking about the misconceptions of doulas, tolerated versus respected. This is one of the first people that I talked to that was outside of the state of Texas. So she is based in Florida, and it's a lot of crazy shit going on in Florida, just like everywhere else. But since then, whenever I think of Keisha, I just think of like just pure, happy, just loving vibes, no matter what. Like, I'm always going to uplift her, and she's always going to uplift me. So I'm thankful for her. I also did, yeah, you did miss all the stuff about you. I'm glad, because I'm not about to be crying. I might bring you up again a couple times. I think I got you on here some more. But Erica Thompson, I'm saying some people last names and some people not, but Erica, she goes by Aniko Lee. She's based in Georgia. We talked about the realm of feminine energy, and that live felt so fun to just talk about. Like all the things we discussed, it sparked so much inspiration. I wanted to do a whole something that would be like a retreat. I wanted to do like a huge conference for women of color of all ages to come and learn about their bodies, to come learn about their power, to interact with so many different healers and birth workers and all the things. Like, I had so many. Is you on here looking like your children for me? Okay. But you look exactly like yours. Okay. Yes, I am gonna do it. It is gonna be done. I also connected with Miko Blackshire. She is somebody I met because I thought I was going to be a prenatal yoga instructor. But guess what? I am a prenatal yoga instructor. I certify my damn self. So what I am going to do is get on YouTube and blackify YouTube with myself doing poses as an amateur person just starting. And I am going to get, do whatever the fuck I want to do. So I thought I was going to go this route. And I got in connection with Miko because I was studying, and I was it was a lot for me being a mom of two, working, all the things, and then having to study for this, having to study for my certification, having to study for 15 different things that I was putting on my plate. It was ridiculous. So as a first-time doula, do not add on 15 different trainings, because that's what I did and that's what I still do. Every time I find something that interests me, I hop on it, and that at that time was ridiculous. Like, I had training on training on training. I had pregnancy and infant loss, which I still have not completed because it was so triggering and depressing and emotionally releasing. Even though I know I want to support people in that way, I had that shit. Not that this shit. I'm sorry, Ms. NECA. But it was a lot. Okay, so I had this, and then I had, 15 different things. So Miko, we connected, and she was like, let's set up a Zoom meeting. We can practiced some stuff together, and I just loved it. And our live was about the path to surrendering and acceptance. We never ended up going live because of the shit that was going on with me, and it just was not in alignment. But the topic was so beautiful, and I enjoyed just sharing space with her, interviewing her for that, and I'm just forever grateful. Moving on, December 2020, okay? I had a car crash. You know why I had a car crash? Because I was working as a doula. I have a whole bunch of jobs. That's another thing that I don't think that you should do, but you do what you want to do, is have 15 different jobs. But you know what? It's hard out here when you want to be an entrepreneur, because looking at DeShaun, I need to speak on this because people don't really reciprocate, appreciate, elevate, do any of the eights for birth workers, for women, for mothers that are out here doing the fucking thing. We are not out here uplifting them. We are not out here pouring into them the same way that they're fucking pouring into us. And DeShaun is one of the people that I know, and I don't even have to watch the shit that she do. I can just feel her energy all the way over here, and I know that she is studying, or she's writing a paper, or she's answering questions, or she is pouring into her children, or she is making YouTube videos, or she is all the things and impacting our world. So why wouldn't you want to uplift someone that is going to do and is doing phenomenal work? So I was trying to, and was doing the same exact thing. Or similar, not to that extent, but I was doing similar. I was working for different types of doula aspects. So maybe you should get familiar with the different types of ways that your particular area offers doulas as a job. So I was a birth assistant. That didn't feel as much as like I want to be a doula. It was teaching me more about like if I wanted to be a midwife, it could look like this. I'm watching them do it and I'm just assisting them. But then that could kind of give me some low-key 9-to-5 slave vibes, because no, I don't want to, slavery. Anything slavery, we're going to move that to the side. Then I was working for this doula agency. A doula agency that catered to a certain type of clientele that was not in alignment with myself. But I chose it because the pay was amazing. Amazing in the aspect of it was more than the living wage. It was more than what I had ever made before. And in exchange, it was taking me away from my family 10 to 12 hours a night. You would take on a client and be working all those hours for months, weeks, days, and it would take pieces of you. And I started to feel, and I think that's why even now I'm still hired, but they ain't called me for a damn thing, because my energy knew that this was some slave fucking vibes, because this was some shit that an ancestor of mine or two did when we sat in that room and watched these children and just stared at them and sat in someone's home and didn't feel safe or comfortable. So yeah, you should get a feel for different things and see what works for you and what doesn't. And I added that onto my plate, and it was a lot. It was too much. Now, I also worked for a different doula agency that is run by doulas, and that is Marley and Maternity. I'm still a birth worker working with them, and I enjoy it. And seeing it from a birth worker aspect, there is a lot less pressure, because the agency I worked for, it was like, you better do what the doctors say. You better do, don't be eating, don't be doing this, don't be doing that. This agency was more like, okay, we got kids, we understand what it's like. These are, the offerings that we have, and I enjoy the clients that I have received from them so far. I'm grateful for the ones that I have been able to be in connection with and have supported their births or supported them in the postpartum. One of the clients that I had from them, that was the first time I had supported as a postpartum doula in the daytime. Nighttime postpartum work can sometimes feel like not postpartum doula work, if you know what I'm talking about. It's like you literally just sitting up in there watching the baby, and you just be stuck in there watching somebody's baby forever. And so this particular client, it was like I had experienced, like I had never felt like reciprocation of energy from a family like this before. It was strange to me because I'm used to, you know, not putting myself on the level of being deserving of basic level care for myself. So they were like, "You working too?" They made me meals. They, you know, they shared space with me. They would, you know, talk to me about things. I would teach them things in exchange, and it wasn't just like about it being an exchange, but that is what made it more fruitful. And so not only that, it was like I had learned so much from them. They learned so much from me. Their baby was such a beautiful experience to be able to just be in connection. And sometimes it felt like a breath of fresh air because I was going through some shit while that was happening. So I'm thankful. Let's see. Car crash happened. I was coming home from the other agency. I was coming home from a client's home and it was raining. And I was in a multiple car pileup. Mind you, not even almost a year, 11 months before that, I was in a car crash, an 18-wheeler. And I was in the car with Gianna. She was like two weeks or 2 months at that time. I don't know. It was ridiculous. And my little Malibu still be holding on, you know. But I you know, I've been going through a whole bunch of shit, or had been going through stuff. So in December, I got hired on by Marley and Moo, which was awesome. I ended up meeting and having lives with Ashley Lester. I am so sorry I cannot remember everybody's Instagram names, but I'll feature y'all in the comment sections. But you know, full spectrum birth work and pill advocacy, or pregnancy and infant loss advocacy. I truly enjoyed having a conversation about this because it is something that should never be kept quiet about or be put to the side. Because I feel like every person, no matter if you, no matter at what point in the pregnancy, if you experience loss, or for me, where with Ori, I thought that I was experiencing loss because I had stressed myself out so bad. I was bleeding a lot. It was enough for me to feel like this is what was going on. I was filling up a pad. It was just triggered by my stress. Surely enough, somebody that had been going through something similar, hey, just popped up. So I had stressed myself out and thought that I was experiencing loss. And I will be discussing my pregnancy in another live. I'm not going to dive into that right now. But the aspect of loss, even being pregnant and experiencing losing loved ones, is still loss during pregnancy. It's still something going on during that time. And I feel like that is something that is not talked about as well. With Tiffany Campbell, we talked about releasing generational trauma. This was fire because I listened to Lonnie and Jackie B. She goes by Jackie and Jacqueline. She has the Tea with Jackie B. They talked about releasing generational trauma. And ever since I listened to them talk about that, I always tell people to go back to find that, or I will send it to them or whatever. And we had discussion, and what I love about Tiffany is that not only is she, like, I believe she's the CEO, if not the co-founder of Chocolate Milk Mommies, based out in, I believe it's in Georgia, where it's a space for, that whole story I talk about in that live, so you gotta go back to it. But for it to be a Black-owned lactation consultant, like, space to teach our people everything about nursing, for them to have a Facebook group open to women of color to come and learn all the things. And she has a plethora of knowledge. Even if you don't book a consultation, like why wouldn't you open yourself up to that? I love how she talks about her experience as a mother, because she is someone that I aspire to constantly, like, keep myself in check about the type of relationship that I want to have with, especially my oldest, with my children, because you are constantly learning and unlearning, and developing this relationship that you have with your descendants. And so I love the way that she brings so much insight by the way that she parents her child. Risha, which is someone who I connected with in the garden community, we were talking about motherhood. She was telling me about her journey of becoming a mother. We never did this live, but I enjoyed the time meeting with her at the park, connecting with her, and hearing her story, and just getting to know her from the time that I have known her. And my final live that I did, which was with Jasmine Granados, she is someone I knew from high school as well. And we talked about the struggles of pregnancy and postpartum. Around this time, this was when I was heavily speaking about the fact that, which I have recently heard the Hood Healer talk about, she has a whole live talking about it. And it's amazing for someone who gets pregnant or to be pregnant at that time, for her to already know what I know to be true, which is that postpartum depression can be heavily and is heavily used as a label and as an excuse at times, if not most times. Because what the truth is that the shit that was stressing you out, that was contributing to your problems, that was making you feel unsafe, ungrounded, all the things, more times than not, was prevalent before you even got pregnant. Things start to intensify when you get pregnant, and you're in between how you were when you were just a regular individual, not pregnant. Once you get pregnant, your emotions, your spirit, your everything is open to processing things in a new way. So all the shit that you have been suppressing comes right the fuck up. And so whether it be like me, where I had to have 3 kids, for it to be like, oh, you gonna keep on suppressing this shit? Okay. I'm gonna keep on intensifying it. Oh, you gonna keep on trying to settle? I'm gonna keep on intensifying it. So some part of it is where you do have mental health, where you do need to have the healing for that. That's why I'm in therapy. I've been with therapists for like maybe 2 months consistently, and I love it. But we don't talk about how the factors is that the external factors are contributing to this depression, contributing to these emotions. Whether that be your financial situation, the relationships around you, having to work, not having the support you need, knowing that some people ain't going to be present at that birth, knowing some people ain't going to be showing up for you how you want them to show up for you in the postpartum, knowing that the more pregnant you get, the more, the more kids you get, whatever, the things that you truly desire are not going to come from the people around you at the present moment. Or maybe you are wanting to still love them in spite of, which talks about your worth versus you unconditionally loving someone that is not unconditionally loving you back. It's a lot of introspection that's going on in your head. So, oh, you're just postpartum. Oh, you just have postpartum depression. Oh, you just have prenatal depression. Oh, it's just your hormones. Oh, it's just a bunch of bullshit that they just want to label. And I appreciate Jasmine, because one thing I will say about Jasmine is I'm super proud of her, because since we have had that live, since we have had that interview, she has shown me time and time again that she is stepping out and doing more and more to reclaim her individuality outside of being a mother and a wife, or whatever the labels. And so I love seeing how her growth is just a testament, like seeing her do stuff and just the things that she will post about. I love seeing that. At this point, I decide to accept my pregnancy. So finding out about my pregnancy was not necessarily a positive thing. And I did choose to have a doula during this time. Moving right on to January. Shit's gonna get real in a couple weeks with these lives. Okay, January. I had my first in-person blessing ceremony with Natasha Wright. So this was someone who was looking for, I think she was looking for like people to like be backup doulas. She interviewed me and we hit it off like she was, you know, again, adding on shit to my plate. But I was making connections with a whole bunch of people, and Natasha has a lot of wonderful energy, and she invited me because I was also expecting. She invited me to a blessing ceremony that she was having for 3 of her clients. That was the first time I had ever been in an experience like that. Side note, my best friend that I have been friends with since middle school, so it's been about 14 to 15 years, she had given birth. And before she gave birth, I had given her a surprise virtual blessing ceremony. So I had that experience, and I got influenced from that, from the Matriarch Collective, that little app thing that I was talking about where I met Lonnie. And this was the first time I had ever been in person. And so it was amazing. Like, Adila, which she goes by Ibu Dula. I'm so sorry if I said that fucked up, but you know, I'm trying. Adila Yelton, she was doing henna. I was willing to do henna, but had no experience of doing henna at all, and I was messing these stomachs up. Just because I draw don't mean that I'm proficient in henna. I learned that. You know, practice makes perfect, but I was literally somebody off the street, like, yes, just, I'll do whatever. So she was doing the henna. There was like tarot cards everywhere. It was like canvases to paint. It was food and snacks and music and photography and all the fun things, and for everyone to be celebrated. And we did this one thing that was very beautiful where she took this gold piece of like yarn. It's like this, it was a nice type of fabric yarn, and we would tie a piece of it around each other's hands to be able to stay in connection with each other, which I thought was so beautiful. It was a lot of emotion, crying, releasing, and space for those mothers to express their feelings and excitement around having a baby. And I also was on Dr. Midwife's live. This is the first time I had ever got on her live before. I love Dr. Midwife. I'ma always talk about Dr. Midwife no matter what. Like, and then the fact that her name is Stephanie Mitchell, bro, it is alignment. Okay, to see someone who is not only has she been a labor and delivery nurse, she's a certified nurse midwife. She is having to do some bullshit to have to recertify as a certified midwife for CPM. Whatever type of fucking midwife. I be forgetting, it's too much information. But she had to recertify because of this fucked up system, and she cannot actively support births in that way out in Gainesville, Alabama. Now, I had been listening, so when I was working for that doula agency that was like the 9-to-5 slave shit, when I'd be sitting up in there, I'd be listening to Dr. Midwife when she has her Sunday cervix. And that is the only thing that kept me up, was listening to her going off about the medical industrial complex. So, and since then I had hopped on, I forgot what I was even talking about, but I remember what I was doing. And since then, like, she'll pop up on a live that I have or whatever, and every time I always speak of her as a celebrity, or I speak of her in such a high position. But the thing that I love about her is she is the exact opposite, where she asks for everyone to engage in the things that she talks about. She wants everyone to be a part of the movement that she is a part of. She wants people to fucking divest so that we can have the things that we need, not just in Gainesville, Alabama, but everywhere else. And she really shows that the work that we do needs to be valued, and you need to pitch into this shit too. It shouldn't just be us as black folks ripping and running and doing all the fucking things all the time. So I love that about her. Moving on to February. Good old February. I turned 25 years old. Okay. Lost my home to the motherfucking tropical winter fucking storm. It was a tropical winter storm, because How in the fuck do we get a winter storm in Texas? I had been living in that apartment for 4 years, and it was a hellhole. Not only because I was in Greenspoint. Old people was banging up against my floor, scaring my kids. It was pow. It'd be pow over here too, and that's fine to keep the whites away. Oh shit. Wasn't expecting that. It wasn't for you. If you was offended, it wasn't for you. Fuck out of there. But yeah, it was a whole bunch of turmoil and crazy shit going on. And I ended up getting up out of there. And so instead of me thinking of it as I lost my home, it was time for me to fucking go. So I'm thankful. It just slipped out, my bad. Because I do have clients that are not people of color. And I love you. But that ain't for you. Get the fuck up out of here. This space ain't for you right now. We gotta keep the gentrification away. So we're gonna sprinkle and cascade some gunshots across the city, which I'm fine with, but not near my kids right now. So we ended up moving, but I'm thankful to my sister, DeShaun, for opening her home to me and my family. Because it was convenient to not have to go far a fucking way to some family or to be somewhere that was uncomfortable. Keeping the whites, exactly, keeping them away. Shoo, frou. And basically, it was not only just a convenience, but I got to learn so much from DeShaun. I got to experience for the brief time that I had at that time, connection. Like if like when you get real just giddy because you're having a sleepover and you're hanging out with your big sister or your little sister or whatever. I don't know how old in difference we are, but or with your best friend or whatever. It was like that. It was fun. It was fun. Some shit got shook up in my life as well simultaneously though. So, it was a lot of transformation and transitions that happened in this month. Two things that I did during the winter storm without a home, without, the things that I did have. I did two virtual events where I spoke. So I had the Black Student Health Association. They had a exploring maternal and holistic health, the Black birthing experience. Yes, you put me on Lovecraft, bro. I had not seen Lovecraft Country in such a long time. So when we watched it together, it was like I was going through that trauma and triggering all over again. I was literally scared that the Jigabobo twins was finna be waiting on me. Who's that knocking? You know what I'm saying? Like, they just waiting on me. And when I turn all my lights off and go to bed, I have to run upstairs so that they not catching me as I'm running up the steps. But anyway, so I did the panel with the Black Student Health Association. And that was the first time up-and-coming healthcare professionals were listening to me, a birth worker, talking about holistic health, maternal, like how this all impacts, like it opened their eyes, because what I'm thankful for is hopefully they are able to take something away. And I'm done. Yes, it's ridiculous because we have gone through this before where you have been scared of something and you just gotta run real quick. You gotta have your knees high and get to where you gotta go. And anyway, my thing is that if you decide to be a nurse, doctor, therapist, a CNA, anything that has to do with the medical industrial complex, you have a duty to understand what holistic health is and how you can contribute holistic health in your capacity, not be a customer service rep for the business that you fucking work for. And don't get it fucking twisted, because Just because you went to school for 12 years don't mean that you're not learning bullshit. Because how in the fuck is psychology of birth, okay, an OB talking about once your baby turns 1, your breast milk has no nutritional value. You can't breastfeed while pregnant if you already been breastfeeding your child. I'm gonna go on a rant about this later. Maternity Journey also had a Black History Month event called Don't Black Out for Black Mamas, talking about maternal health. And I was there along with so many beautiful people, and it was exciting to be able to talk about things from my perspective, as well as hear so many beautiful things, like the fire, I felt fire in my chest, in my body, just listening to Sierra McLean, Sankofa Mama. She goes by Sankofa Mama. And then, first starting off with DeShaun, okay, the history and whatnot of our people, representing our ancestors and shit. Then here comes Sierra, really rallying us up, like, we the people in this bitch. Then Lonnie, I had told Lonnie, go ahead and speak that. She was like, oh, I haven't had kids before. This is not me making fun of you. I'm just saying, I haven't had kids before, so I don't feel I'm in capacity to speak about this. And not only did she say the most beautiful words, that shit had me crying. I am not a mother yet, but I'm like, oh my God, this shit is beautiful. She gave some spoken word that really touched me, bro. Then I was in there adding my little mix and so impressed. Chrissy, all these different Black-owned businesses, showing off their stuff, all the things, all the topics. We had a moment of silence to honor the mothers at that time that had lost their lives unnecessarily and all the things. So it was fire. And I got both of them on my YouTube channel. Take your ass to YouTube and watch them. Respectfully. March 2021 was all about keeping my fucking peace and sanity, pretty much. I also did an episode. I'm on Spotify, on somebody's podcast, These Four Walls. And we were talking about becoming our most authentic self. I did not feel it was as worthy as listening to Jackie B talk about authenticity. When I interviewed her for Iconoclast series, it was just such a beautiful experience. Listening to her, just reflecting on the Zoom call we did, and then listening to what we actually did on the live, and how the two experiences were just expressed in that live. It was fire as fuck. And watching Jackie, it just kind of had me talking about Jackie now. Jackie has been, because I have a cousin named Jackie. I love you, Jackie. My cousin Jackie, but I'm talking about Jackie B. She really has such a phenomenal expression of life, bro. It's crazy. She helps me understand my mother a lot more and appreciate my mother a lot more. And I also kind of feel like sometimes I'm watching my mother, if at that age, in a different reality and time space, if that makes sense. It can be kind of weird. I hope she don't feel weird about it, but that's what I feel. April 2021. This was the first family connected clients I've had. So that's Kayla and Josh, and baby Carter. You know what I'm saying? I was not able to be present at this birth, but I supported in sessions and things like that, and gave them the tools that they needed to be able to be prepared for this experience. So I'm just shouting them out. I really was doing heavy postpartum doula work during this time, and felt like I needed a break from postpartum doula work. I started doing a lot of in-person sessions with clients. I was hella pregnant. This is April. It's only a few more months before I'm having Ori. And Oh yeah, my notes say driving far for racist clients. So one postpartum client I had was all the way out in, like, I believe it was out in Conroe or somewhere. I was driving all the way out. Well, that's crazy. I have a rough time healing my mother wound, and I have a white, not the lady named Jackie, who is bipolar, and she said some hurtful things about my mom. I was bamboozled. Damn. Okay, we're gonna have a whole session to discuss and debrief on this. Okay, driving far from racist clients. So, a postpartum client that I had supported, I went and had to drive back and forth to this place. It was an hour away from my home, and it was so uncomfortable driving there. It was Trump flags on the back of the trucks, and this was like a golf course subdivision gated community type thing. So they looking at my Malibu like, you know, good and fucking well, you're supposed to be in here. So one day out of the blue, and then that's the thing too, because they have dogs, and I am completely comfortable around dogs. They dogs don't mess with me or anybody that is correlated with my race, period. So I was getting vibes of terror and discomfort, and I'm pregnant, and I was supporting that client just for it to be the last day. And I drove all the way there, and I guess I showed up on time, and one of their family members was there and was just like, yeah, I don't need you. Like, she just texted me, I don't need you to come today. Thank you. You don't even have to come to the other sessions. So I was like, okay. What the fuck is that? So yeah, that happened. So never again will I support racists. If it don't feel right, don't do it. And if you got an old car, don't be driving far out. This is not Lovecraft. This is not Lovecraft Country. Don't be driving too far out and then your car gets stuck somewhere. Thankfully, mine didn't. May 2021. My clients gotta be in alignment. Damn right. Sarah and Romero, and their baby's name is Enrique. Special thing. Okay, so back up. Kayla and Josh, their baby Carter was born on April Fools. Hey, welcome in. Their baby was born on April Fools. Sarah and Romero, their child Enrique was born on May 5th. I'm supposed to be Cinco de Mayo. And I loved how much fun it felt doing sessions with Sarah and Romero. It was like every time we would have a session, we just cracking up. And the thing is, Sarah and I knew each other from high school. So this was someone that I actually did have a very close connection with. And it was just like I'm back in time again, being a teen, just cracking up, losing my damn mind. While we're doing comfort measures, while we're doing whatever type of sessions, I just enjoyed it. And it feels really good when there are fathers or parents that are just as passionate and involved about the experience as the birthing person. So it feels good, and I just enjoyed being around them. And even though I was not present at Sarah's birth, Sarah had what she desired, which was an unmedicated birth. This being her second child, this was one of her big goals, and she was able to accomplish it. Not only that, she had experienced some traumas and different things before she had this child, and it was her birth experience. From how she explained it to me, it was such a beautiful experience, and she was in control and in her power, and I'm proud of her. And hopefully she will be another addition to our birth work community as well. I also had another client, Callie. She had her son, Saint. The interesting thing about this was this was my second client. I have supported a long distance client, like someone out of state. But for postpartum, never have I supported somebody for like birth until I met this particular person. This client was definitely a lesson about endurance, about knowing your limits and your boundaries, knowing that all you can do is give your best. Because this was the first time I had ever experienced where a baby, you thinking the baby coming every day, like labor, it would be, she was having like contractions and like thinking she was about to have the baby. Like, it was all of this was going on for so long, and when she finally was able to give birth, and not only that, there was a lot of issues with the medical industrial complex out in Lubbock, Texas. There was a lot of just things going on, just in her perspective of life, and for her to be able to finally give birth and achieve that goal that she had for herself as well, for her birthing experience, it was beautiful to be able to be a part of. I remember virtually supporting her, videoing her at some aspects, and then other aspects, supporting her just in sessions. So I'm thankful for that experience as well. My dad decides that he's going to transcend in the month of May. And he was 43 years old. Pretty much every time I sit at my table, I have like flashbacks to getting a call in the middle of the night, like around this time, like 10 ish. It's 11:56, but you know, around this time at night, getting a call from my stepmom saying that my dad died. He had a heart attack mowing the lawn. And the reason I played, like I said, I played Prince because somehow, some way, I decided to just like imprint my emotions about him onto this song. And yeah, it was difficult. I was 2 months into having Ori. The last thing I think I talked about him before was me sharing ultrasound pictures, and he knew that it was a girl. And this was supposed to be like a gender reveal type of pregnancy. Like, I wasn't going to know the gender or the sex, I was saying, not the gender. So the last thing he had told me before this was that I am a resilient and strong mother, something along the lines of it. He was like just giving words of affirmation and love, because it was Mother's Day. And then he was talking to me about Ori's ultrasound pictures. And I think the last time I had seen him was before I had given birth. No. Yeah, before I had given birth to Gianna. So it had been a minute since I had seen him. So, yeah. I also completed my grandma's hands training course. That was amazing. Divine has such a remarkable course. The knowledge upon knowledge upon knowledge, the subliminals that you end up finding out was always there the whole time, that type of vibes. Like, it's more than it just being about herbs. It's about the power of the ancestors. It's about the power of generational healing that never really went away. We left it, you know. So I'm thankful for being able to I certified for something. I certified in that, you know. Another beautiful thing I was able to do in the month of May was I attended Bianca's blessing way that DeShaun threw for her. And Bianca is also a birth worker in our community. She goes by, is it Soulflower Birthing? I believe that's what it is. I hope I didn't say that wrong. She is our Soulflower. That experience was the first time I had been at a blessing ceremony that was in community with family or with people that I knew, and it was such a beautiful experience. I was pregnant as hell. She was in early labor during this time. Her mucus plug had already started to come out, and we were able to bless her into her birth. It was such a magical experience. If you have not seen it, go to Holistic Birth and Health on YouTube and check it out. It's an amazing experience. I also simultaneously, because I believe Bianca gave birth on Memorial Day, so that was the 23rd, I think, if I'm not mistaken. My clients, Julia and Jalen, they ended up giving birth to baby Jace, and this was the first time I had a client have a precipitous birth. So she did not that much long after getting to the hospital, baby came out. So I did not make it to that birth on time. It was just too fast. So I was able to come to them in the immediate postpartum. I was able to come and have session with them, and their dynamics, it was so fun doing like our birth planning session and to like come together in that aspect, and they both be like excited. They're athletes, so I was like, all right, we're gonna do some yoga, we're gonna do comfort measures, and they were all for it. And even now, supporting in the postpartum with Julia has been an amazing experience. So June, buried my father. Natasha, you hopping in right around this time. So yeah, buried my dad. And also my clients Monet and Troy ended up giving birth to their child, Messiah. And that was, what should I say? It was the first time I had supported people that were like actively in college, like doing the damn thing, grad school, like. So I got to experience like an aspect of lifestyle that was different from what I have done, even though I did do like a year of college. No, I did 2 years of college, but this was different. Like they're very well, like I guess, well known in their sororities and fraternities and all the things, like that type of lifestyle. Like I didn't really know too much about. So when she would talk about all the exciting things, and then at the same time, it was one of many first-time moms I had experienced. And so having to comfort fears of having a baby, having to comfort worries about what your family style and just how dynamics are shifting and changing around you. It was definitely a teaching experience. And one of the times where my client I had to really advocate when some trauma was about to happen, if not happened already. And I had experienced some triggers and trauma just in that experience, just on my end from what I was seeing. So there was a lot to learn from that experience. And she was able to have her baby vaginally, and it was a great experience. Messiah was a very healthy baby, and is still a very healthy, beautiful child. Let's see. That was the first client who I had like offered to do a placenta encapsulation. So my friend and doula sister Maria, we ended up coming to her home and offering her a placenta encapsulation. So I got to see hands-on what that was like. I assisted in it. I was watching her and learning from her. And Maria is an amazing being. I could talk all day about her, but I'm not, because we're getting to the end. July of 2021, Khadijah gives birth to Celine, baby Celine. So that was the first time I was the only person as the support person for my client. That was the first time I had ever experienced an unmedicated birth. And it was a quick birth, but it felt fat. It felt long. And that's how it is sometimes. When you're having an unmedicated experience, and not only unmedicated, but you're in a somewhat autonomous experience, it can feel like it's taking forever, or it feels like forever, because you have to really be active and engaged. And mind you, I didn't think I was going to be supporting this birth. I was called by her sister, like, Stephanie, I cannot be there. I need you to go, that type of thing. So I ended up going and supporting her because why not, you know? But at the same time, my mind was telling me, hell yeah. But my body was like, hey, you pregnant as fuck. Fuck you doing? So when I finally got there and I'm doing hip squeezes, like, you ain't done no hip squeezes like this in a minute. You tired. And I literally took a nap for like an hour while I was there. It was a lot of things that I was like, oh my God, I'm doing a horrible job. But it was like, I did a bomb-ass job for a pregnant person supporting somebody else that was giving birth. Then I was having contractions while she was having contractions. Like, it was a lot going on, okay? But her experience was beautiful because I had seen so many medicated births. I thought that what she was doing was supernatural. Like, she jumped off the fucking bed and ran to the bathroom because she was only comfortable. She could not, like, Celine was not letting her lay down. He was not letting her do any of that, laying on your back, laying on your side. She had to sit on the toilet, being in a position like that. And we sat in the bathroom, we sat on the bed, we sat wherever. And I supported her through that whole process, and it was so beautiful to experience. So I'm forever grateful for her for that, her thinking in that moment that she wanted me to be there. So I'm grateful. Then I decide, okay, this is for sure my last birth, because I thought Monet back in June was my last birth. Now I got Khadijah. I'm definitely not taking no more births. So I say, I'm going to pre-record every session that I've ever done. I'm going to pre-record them for my clients to watch. And I'm grateful for myself for that, because I get tired repeating the same shit for 2 hours straight for every single client. And like me, I support the community. So it's like 15 of them. So I'm not going to be sitting up here repeating the same shit for 30 hours. So did that literally a few days before I gave birth. And I thought I was going to do a whole bunch of recordings for my postpartum clients. Absolutely not. I ended up giving birth a few days after that. And that's pretty much July to July, okay? Another honorable mention I wanted to include was the Birthing the Revolution movement that was created by Sierra, because we were able to connect with over 50 birth workers across the state of Texas, some in Louisiana, some in other places across the country, because we want to learn how we can divest, very similar to Dr. Midwife, how we can transform the spaces in which we live. And yeah, I pretty much, because I got insights to up and coming birth workers. Insights, I would say, stop worrying about when you're going to get a client. Stop worrying about when you're going to make some money. Worry about why. Don't even worry, but ask yourself why you want to even do this to begin with. Are you doing it for the industrialization of it? Are you doing it for the extension of what our ancestors have given us? Are you here to take the assignment on to pass on this holistic care? So if you ain't trying to do that, that's cool. But what type of support are you trying to give? How can you help refer clients to people that are wanting to give them this support, and how can you learn to be a better human being in this work, because being a birth worker is very much a personal work, because you're healing yourself as well as supporting people in healing in that aspect as well. I do not take it for granted that I literally am a part of generational healing because of the fact that every single one of those clients learned something new. They were impacted so heavily by their experience with me. They are going to pass that down to their children. They're going to pass that down to people that they know. It's going to be, it already is, ripples and waves and surges of change that are already happening. And I'm a part of that. And I'm grateful for it. And I think that if you ain't trying to do nothing like this, it ain't for you. Now, of course, there are different types of birth workers. And for me personally, I have supported a lot of hospital births. I have not supported a home birth yet. I have not supported a birth center birth yet. I have not supported an outside in the woods birth yet. I have not supported an underground birth yet. But I've had enough of hospital experiences. And I think what we need to do, because I'm not going to abandon anyone that is still choosing that, but we need to get the fuck out of places that are not meant for us. So we need to take it upon ourselves to educate as a community of ways we can take care of ourselves holistically outside of the structures that are already there that's fucking us up. And don't be afraid to connect with other people walking the same journey as you, because I found so much beautiful community. Somebody crying. And lastly, where do you see yourself in year 2 of being a birth worker? I see myself pretty much got my website up, maybe got my LLC together, and I'm pretty much doing a little bit of the same thing, but clients that desire me are coming to me. I'm not searching for people. I'm getting paid what I desire, and I'm no longer just working donation based or working for free or getting paid by an agency. Yeah. I see myself living liberated. I see myself with my community even closer than I am now, so that we can not only just be worried about protecting ourselves, we can be happy. We can continue to be free. And definitely gonna have a lot more insights to my ancestors next year. And it's 12/12, so I appreciate y'all coming together and holding space for me, for all the people that hopped on, the people that have watched my live series as it was going on in 2020, the people that have checked it out now. I'm forever grateful. And I will be back next week on Thursday. Them times it's on there is subject to fucking change, because mom life is mom life, and I'm no longer putting myself on the time frame. When I pop on this motherfucker, you know, y'all be here in support, or you catch the replay, and I know that y'all understand that, and I'm forever grateful. So catch y'all next week. Peace, peace.